All right. We'll go ahead and start the October 5th, 2022 Board of the Southeast Consolidated Zoning Board. Could we go ahead and do a roll call?
John Lloyd is absent. Kelly Rast,
Present.
Ken Klingensmith,
Present.
Dennis Bolin,
Present.
Emily Coleman,
Present.
and on Zoom, Dan Foyle,
Present.
and on Zoom, Fred Winger.
Present.
We have a quorum of 6.
Thank you. We have an in-person meeting as well as a virtual meeting, and we do have a statement of hybrid statement that Kelly is going to read for us.
Okay. This meeting is now being recorded. Please silence all electronic devices. Please note this meeting is being held in the board hearing room with zoning board members attending in person. There's also an option for virtual attendance on Zoom webinar. If you're using Zoom, you may participate in the meeting using your computer, telephone, or other electronic device. For Zoom participants, chats will be disabled once the meeting begins. If you have trouble, please call 913-715-1700. If you would like to speak, please use the raise hand function in the Zoom app to notify planning staff of your desire to speak. To activate this function, click raise hand in the webinar controls at the bottom of the screen. By telephone, you may raise your hand by dialing *9. Please do not utilize the raise hand function until the start of the agenda item about which you desire to comment. We will take comments from in-person attendees first, followed by Zoom participants. The Zoom moderator will call on individuals who have raised their hand. The chairman may modify these procedures as needed to conduct an orderly and efficient meeting. All public speakers will be limited to 3 minutes unless the chair designates a different time period. In order to accommodate all the speakers, when your name is called by the moderator, your microphone will be unmuted. Please state your name and address for the record, followed by your comments. If you share concerns, comments, or points made by others, please refrain from repeating those comments and instead note the record that you agree with the previous individual's comments. There will be a 10-second remaining warning sound. Board members and presenters, please state your name every time you begin talking so that the comments can be transcribed for the record. This is a public meeting. We are presenting live and recording the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Tonight's agenda is in front of you. Is there any changes anyone would like to make to the agenda? Before I ask for a motion for the approval of the agenda, I did want to make one modification. Item number 4 under the board reports, the progress report on the Stillwell Community Plan. The purpose and intent of adding that to our agenda on a monthly basis was to keep the work of the Stillwell community and Aubrey Township in the forefront of everyone's mind. Years of work by the staff, community, and others allowed a plan outlining what Stillwell seeks from zoning and planning and what they want in the community that was then adopted by the county commissioners. Our current state is that staff has consistently and appropriately incorporated reference to the Stillwell Community Plan within their applications for Aubrey Township in East Johnson County. And we also, as a community, do not have monthly updates on activities, but more so on a semi-annual basis, at least twice a year. So my recommendation would be to remove the progress report from the Stillwell Community Plan from the monthly agendas, continue to reference the aspects of that in our applications, and especially in regard to the lighting guidelines, and then try to remember to put this on the agenda sometime in the spring and the fall, as opposed to a monthly basis. And does anyone, I guess I can do a motion to make that, anyone have a motion to approve that change
This
to?
is Kelly Rast. I'll make a motion to approve that the Stillwell community plan report goes to a, did you want?
Semi-annual.
Semi-annual.
Emily Coleman, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, and then I'll seek a motion to, with that modification, seek a motion to approve the agenda for this evening.
Ms. Bowen, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Kelly Rast, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, and we'll move on to the approval of the minutes that you have in front of you. Hope you've had a chance to review the minutes from the September 7th board meeting. Are there any changes? If not, I'd seek a motion to approve the minutes.
Kelly Rast, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from Wednesday, September 7th, 2022.
Dennis Bowen, I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we'll move on to the next agenda item for board reports, and we'll ask for an update on the Board of County Commissioners actions, followed by any planning commission actions. Thanks, John.
Thank you, Commissioners, board members, Sean Penley, planning staff. For Board of County Commissioners actions, there were 3 applications at the September meeting, or excuse me, at the August meeting for this board. Rezoning and a preliminary and final plat for estates of Shadow Woods on Knoll near 191st and Knoll. Preliminary and final plat for 207th and Lackman, and a conditional use permit for a garage in the front yard at 4665 West 188th Terrace. Those cases were all approved by the Board of County Commissioners on September 8th. If you'd like, I can continue on the Planning Commission
Please.
report. So Planning Commission actions, there was not a regular meeting of the Planning Commission in September, but on that regularly scheduled meeting date of September 27th, there was a planning workshop in which the Planning Commission and all the zoning boards and the BZA were all invited to a planning workshop. Peg Trent, the chief counsel for the county, gave a presentation and a training session for the boards with a PowerPoint and a discussion regarding public hearing procedures and other actions that the boards conduct. That is very useful information, I think, for the boards, and hopefully it was, I think it was well attended. I think we had a pretty good following for that meeting. That meeting was in person. It was not on Zoom. However, we did get the audio recording and then also the PowerPoint presentation. That has been forwarded to all the board members. So for anyone who was not able to attend that information hopefully will be available on as email. It will also be posted on the Planning Commission page for the PowerPoint presentation. So that was a helpful presentation. And I think we will decided to continue having more regular updates for all of the boards. We would also like to have another public workshop or planning workshop sometime beginning of 2023, but with updates of other types of planning activities that will be relevant for all the boards. So we hope to have another one coming soon, but we'll definitely continue to have those annually or semi-annual basis. There will be no regular planning commission meeting in October. This meeting of October 28th, I believe it is, that will be canceled. So the October meeting will be canceled. We will have a meeting in November, but we think that may be subject to change. So we're looking to find when that date will be, and we'll be sending out an update to everyone. So that concludes the planning reports. And I do have one final report to mention for the airport compatibility plan updates. We just started work on that. Those updates for Executive Airport and the New Century Air Center. We're going to be updating the compatibility plans for both of those airports. We had our first public workshop last night at the Executive Airport, and we'll have a public workshop tomorrow night at the New Century Air Center. Those will be public hearings or public workshops, then inviting anyone with comments on either of those updates. We also had our first planning advisory committee meeting on Monday, and we had all of the relevant planning commission representatives, city representatives, and the Board of County Commissioner there. That will be the first meeting that we're going to have. This is going to be an ongoing effort. We anticipate about 12 to 15 months of an update for those 2 plans. But that's also going to be a very big update. And those results, as those plans are updated, we'll be bringing back updates to the Planning Commission, and we'll provide regular updates as well. So we just wanted to announce that as well. And those, again, those meetings are public. And there was also an option for virtual attendance for those 2, and they're on the planning website. So happy to answer any questions in those reports.
I appreciate the information on the slide deck related to the workshop. I was unable to attend that, but we'll get on the website and get those documents if they didn't.
Sure,
in my
yeah, it
email
was a
somewhere.
pretty good PowerPoint. I think it's about 40 some slides, so you'll have a lot of information. There was also good information, I think, as far as actions or motions for cases if there need to be changes to motions. There's all kinds of relevant information in there. So hopefully that information will be useful to the zoning boards.
Great. All right, any questions? All right, we'll move to the business before the board. Application number SE 22249 FDP, the final development plan for 175th Street and Kenneth Road. The applicant has requested a continuance and move that to the November 2nd, 2022 meeting. Can I have a motion to approve that?
Emily Coleman, I motion to continue application number SE 22249 FDP Final Development Plot Plan for 175th Street and Kenneth Road to the November 2nd meeting.
Second,
Dennis Boland will second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All right. Moving on, we'll then take a look at application number SE 22235 CUP. It's a conditional use permit that is continued from the September 7th, 2022 meeting. Staff, you want to go ahead and do that presentation?
Yes, thank you. Diane Wicklund, Planning Department. I would like to enter in the staff report dated August 31st, 2022 into the record. Also, I just provided you with a handout. I think on the top it says site plan 2. That additional site plan came after the mail out. So I'm just including that into the record. And the revision I'll talk about in a little bit, but really it's just showing the 75 by 75 lease area in addition to the trees that they need to replant. So just kind of adding that into the record as well. So the site address is 17140 US 169 Highway. The lease area size is 75 feet by 75 feet for the communication tower area in the compound, and the parent parcel is 71 acres in size. So this is a request to renew an existing conditional use permit for a 180-foot tall monopole communication tower with associated antennas and ground-based equipment and buildings, and then also for a new antenna in a microwave dish and a new area for a backup generator. Just to note that the cell tower has existed since 1987, so 35 years. And the last conditional use permit renewal was approved by the Board of County Commissioners on January 12th, 2012 with a 10-year term. So we'll kind of go over here to the graphics real quick. So this is an aerial view of the subject property, which is outlined in blue, and it shows the location of the cell tower. This is also an aerial view, but kind of a zoomed out view of the area. The red star indicates kind of the general location of the cell tower. So it's on the east side of 169, on the west side of 169 Highway, and then just north of 175th Street. Here's a recent picture of the tower itself. And here is the handout that I gave you previously. It's showing the new trees that they're going to be planting, as well as the 75 by 75 lease area. This site plan is part of their building permit package, but they submitted part of those pages. And then this site plan area also down here towards the bottom of the screen shows the new area for the new backup generator. And then here's just the elevation of the tower showing the proposed antenna and the new wireless dish. So staff reviewed the minimum infrastructure requirements, which obviously are pretty minimal for the cell tower. And then also reviewed the general design and performance standards for cell towers that are in our regulations. And so this tower continues to meet those performance standards. So the some landscaping trees were planted in 2011 at the time of that renewal to satisfy the screening requirement. And that was a condition of that 2012 CUP. However, staff conducted a recent site visit and discovered that most of the trees planted in 2011 have died and had been removed. And so American Tower has agreed to replant those trees to provide screening for the compound. And they are shown on that site plan that I handed out to you. They're pretty faint, but they are there and show the location of where they'll be planting those trees. And then you'll see in the list of stipulations that they need to plant those trees within 60 days of approval. We also did the golden review. And so this tower has existed, like I mentioned, for 35 years, has had minimal impact to the surrounding area, and continues to be consistent with the zoning and agricultural uses of the nearby properties, as well as being compatible with the character of the neighborhood. The cell tower, as shown here in the aerial views, is located about 650 feet to the west of 169 highway. It's in an area of the larger parent parcel that does not negatively affect adjacent land. Since its existence, there have been no known complaints related to the tower facility, and has had no apparent detrimental effects to nearby landowners. Given all of that, planning staff does recommend approval of the renewal for the conditional use permit for the tower, including that new wireless dish in the backup generator. And with subject to the stipulations that are listed on page 9 and 10 of the staff report, just to point out that stipulation number 1, we're recommending a 20-year term this time for the renewal. And stipulation number 9 talks about replanting of those trees. And the reasons for approval are listed on page 10 and 11. And also on page 11 is a proposed or suggested motion for the board's reference. And then I also believe the applicant, Alan Waters, is on Zoom representing American Tower. So with that, if you have questions, I can answer those.
Thank you, Diane. I appreciate that. I think the staff analysis is comprehensive. The report's great. I appreciate you commenting on the fact there were no complaints regarding the site, and that you've actually visited the site and proposed some landscaping for the community. So I appreciate that. Is there any questions of the staff by the zoning board?
This is Kelly Ross. I would echo what Ken said, but this time, because eventually more people are going to move out into that area and stuff, can there be like maybe better follow-up that the trees actually survive and stay and they grow and get bigger? So by the time people do move out there, versus wait and find out, oh, they died and nobody did anything with them. I mean, since we're stipulating that the trees go in, can there be some follow-up to make sure they actually survive and are sustainable? Because that'll only help for later when that area grows up, that they're mature and stuff.
Sure. Yeah. And staff definitely, will go out after they've called us and said they've replanted. But yes, definitely we'll try to go out maybe periodically and try to check on that landscape.
Yeah. Or even
Yes.
maybe American Tower can help you out and go out there and
Yes.
submit something every year or something annually that the trees are thriving.
That's true. And because the tower is on the property, that is true. It would be nice if American Tower could help out with that,
Mhm.
just kind of in terms of access, to the property. And
Yeah. It's a little bit of their accountability with us
yes,
approving this. So thank you. That's all.
I agree. Thank you.
Dan, do you have any questions, or Fred on Zoom?
I'm good.
Chair,
Yes.
this is Megan Lynch with North County Planning. I did want to note that Fred Wingert is no longer on Zoom.
Okay, thank you. We still have a quorum though, right? Yes.
Yeah, because we would have 5, so yes.
Okay. Perfect, thank you. I understand the applicant, Mr. Waters, is joining us. Mr. Waters, if you'd like to make any comment or add any narrative, this would be the time.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name's Alan Waters. I'm with SMJ International. We're consultants for American Tower Corporation. Our address is 4903 Pontiac Trail, Wixom, Michigan. I'd just like to say it's been a pleasure working with Diane towards getting this CUP renewal for what is really a very strategic communications tower in the area, and we'd just like to request the renewal be approved.
Thank you. Are there any questions of the applicant by the zoning board? And I'll just confirm, Dan, you're on Zoom. Any questions?
I'm good. Thank you, Ken. Great.
Mr. Waters, I really appreciate you joining us tonight. Thank you. I see Fred's joining back. Megan, is there anybody for public comment?
No, I see no one with their hand raised on Zoom.
All right, then we will close the public comment section, having no applicants in person or on Zoom, or excuse me, public comments on application here or in Zoom. Any further questions by the zoning board of the staff applicant? All right, we'll go ahead and close public comments, and now we'll have discussion of the application by the zoning board. One comment I wanted to make, Kelly, on your point was, I wonder if that could be part of the stipulation in the landscaping plan, is that we'll have at least these 5 to 6 feet high trees at all times.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah,
that
just
could
to
be a
clarify
revision.
that.
That way we don't have to
Yeah.
check and follow, but as part of the conditional use permit is there'll always be a 5 to 6 foot height tree, or how it's stipulated here. That might be a way to.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I'm sure it's assumed that, but that definitely clarifies it.
Can you say that again?
Sure. My comment was in communication with Kelly's comments about the trees being there,
Mhm.
that they'll consist of at least 5 to 6 feet in height. They'll have the trees planted with the 10-foot centers, but that'll be consistently throughout the term of the conditional use permit. So if a tree does die and go down, they would need to replace that tree.
Okay.
Yeah, excellent point.
That's the only comment I have on it.
This is Sean Penley, planning staff. That certainly makes sense. You could add to that last sentence to say that the trees shall remain and be replaced if dead or diseased. That's a typical requirement. We could certainly entertain a revision to that motion.
Before I do that, Mr. Waters, on Zoom, do you think the folks you represent would have any issue with that?
I do not.
Okay, thank you. Any other conversations, discussions? Do you want to make a motion with that modification?
I can.
Page 11.
Motion.
And then just modify the landscaping.
Page 11.
Thank you. This is Kelly Rast. I move that the board approve application number SE 22-235-CUP for conditional use permit renewal to allow the continued use of the communication tower and associated antennas and ground equipment for the reasons and stipulations recommended by the staff and set forth in the staff report, with the modification that for the landscaping, that the property and the applicant will have the trees there at all times. So they will be replaced if they die, or the trees will exist for the full 20 years.
Before we make ask for a second on that, Dan, can you clarify one thing? The 180-foot tower, that won't be exceeded with the additional wireless satellite they're bringing in, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Can I have a second for Kelly's motion?
Emily Coleman, I second.
Everyone in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I saw Fred did jump back on, just for the record. All right, what date will that go to the Board of County Commissioners for meeting? Diane,
Yes, so this will go to the Board of County Commissioners on November 10th at 9:30 a.m. Here in this room. So County Administration Building, 111 South Cherry.
thank you. Thank you, Diane. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
There are no other applications before the board this evening. Moving on to other business. Is there any other items to be brought before the zoning board? Hearing none, I will take a motion to adjourn.
Emily Coleman, I motion to adjourn.
Kelly Ross, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you, everyone.